Okay. All right. Hey, y'all doing good tonight? Good. Good. So again, my name is Mike Capel. I'm the youth pastor. This is my amazing wife, Katie. Together. Yeah, for real. Yeah. For real, we have been here now for 8.5 years, going on 9 years as student pastors here at Cedar Point Church. And so we've also been in a series called Build Your Kingdom Here, which is all about leadership. It's been an incredible, incredible series. But we wanted to wrap up this series tonight by simply answering questions that you all have. And so with that, I'm going to ask again, during this time, you not be talking, you be listening, taking notes, and engage with us. We do have adult leaders that are mixed in with all of you. And so if at any point in time you need something, they're around, trust me, and all of those things. But we're here for you. We want to make sure, again, this is a distraction-free place. And let me just say this. Again, we are here to tell students about Jesus. And we're going to let you know what the bar is. And the bar is that during this time, you're not going to be a distraction. You're not going to be going in and out. You're going to be listening and taking notes. And if you choose not to achieve that bar, and what I mean by that is you choose not to rise up to the standards that we're placing on you, and your behavior doesn't show that, and you're distracting people, then we're going to have to potentially remove you, and we don't want to see that take place. So we're going to let you know what the bar is, and we're going to give you the opportunity to rise to that bar, okay? So, again, taking notes, no talking, don't be a distraction during this time. But we've got some questions about leadership. Katie's going to be asking them to me. I'm going to be giving my thoughts on them, and then we're going to wrap this series up. So, you want to start us off?
Yeah.
All right.
I will say...
Do you have anything you want to say? Or did I?
I'm about to say that.
Well, just about not being a distraction or going in and out. No?
I think you got it. You're good.
Okay. Just making sure.
Anyways, hey, as we're here tonight answering these questions, I know the main topic is leadership, but the things that we're going to be answering are things that you can use in your everyday life, with friendships, with your family, with relationships. And so don't just write it off like you're not going to get anything out of tonight. Like if you lean in, you ask God to speak to you, he's going to speak to you, okay? You're going to get some good things out of this tonight. So let's start off with our first question. Thank you guys for sending in your questions.
We had some good ones.
Yeah, there's some good ones. All right, so here we go. Here's our first question. They said, there's a lot of drama that happens in my friend group. What can I do to help everyone get along and stop fighting and spreading rumors? What do you think about that?
What's the question? I'm just kidding. A lot of drama that happens in my friend group. What can I do to help everyone get along and stop fighting and spreading rumors? First off, whoever asked this, number one, you are awesome, because it's real easy in our culture to just be like, oh, it doesn't concern me, so I'm just going to check out. It's real easy just to throw up your hands. And the fact that you're seeing this stuff going on within your friends and your desire is to want to help them tells me that you really are a true leader. And so I want to commend you, first off, and for that, and just encourage you that you can lead anywhere that you're at. And so in this situation, I don't know about you, I can just speak for me, but when I would see my friends get into drama and into fights and stuff like that, there's honestly a part of me that wanted to grab my friends by the shoulders and shake them until some sense got knocked into them. And so I found myself personally in kind of a challenging place where I'm not trying to take sides. And so what I had to do is I had to learn first off to lead myself in the middle of that. Did y'all hear what I just said? I had to learn to lead myself. And what I meant by that was not allow them not acting correctly to become an influence in my life. Mm-hmm. And so I had to get to that place where Romans chapter 12 is an incredible chapter. You guys should go and read it. But it got to the point where in Romans chapter 12 and verse 17, it says, never pay back evil with more evil. And so I had to come to that place in my situation, in my life with my friends, where when they were doing the wrong things, when they were doing evil, that I didn't get sucked into that and want to do more evil. So I think that's the first thing that I would encourage you to do is lead yourself. Secondly, do what Katie encouraged us to do in her message a few weeks ago, and that was asking God for wisdom, because the best leaders are the wisest leaders. And so ask God to give you some wisdom, and I believe that as you ask God for wisdom, the next thing that he'll do is he'll help you to put boundaries in place with your friends that are going to help you not get into the middle of all of their drama, as well as he'll give you the wisdom to know how to lead in the middle of that situation. So he'll start off by first telling you boundaries of like, hey, when your friend starts to gossip about the other friend, put a stop to it. He'll tell you that, hey, when your friend starts to get negative and critical of your other friend, to put a stop to it. To let that friend know, hey, I don't want to hear you say anything about them unless it's how you're going to go to that person and fix the problem. Now, this is real important. I want you to understand this, that your role when your friends are having problems, all eyes up here, please. I don't want anybody to miss this. Here's one thing that I've learned, and this is important. I want you to write this down in your notes, is that you can't fix your friends' problems. You can be a part of the solution, but you can't fix it until they want to fix it, no matter how much you want it.
So true.
So what you can do, though, again, is ask God for wisdom, and you can ask God to use you to speak into their lives so that to help them fix the problem. Matter of fact, Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 and 17, it says it this way. It says, if another believer sins against you, go privately and point out the offense. If the other person listens and confesses it, you have won that person back. So for starters, if you got friends that are getting into it, and they're talking about it in front of other people, that's your cue to say, wait a second, you're not doing this privately. So at that point, speak up and say, hey, look, I really am uncomfortable being here while you're going to talk negatively or critically about fill in the blank. Say, again, I love you, I'm here for you, but I don't want you, I'm not going to sit around and have you talk about them unless you're going to talk about how to bring about a solution between the two of you. And I'm encouraging you to go and talk to fill in the blank so that you can fix this. That's what we want to do. And then after that, it even goes on to say, but if you are unsuccessful, take one or two others with you, go back again. So that's when then you start saying, hey, you talk to them. You guys are still not seeing the world the same way? Okay, well, if you would like, I will go with you and help be kind of that sounding board to make sure you guys are understanding one another clearly. And then from there, if that doesn't work, the next step says this. If the person still refuses to listen, take your case to the church. That's where then you step in and bring some leadership into that situation, a teacher, coach, youth leader, pastor, and say, hey, look, we're going on. We want to fix this. And then at that point in time, lastly, if they won't accept the decision after that, then it says to treat that person as a pagan or a corrupt tax collector. In other words, at that point, you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep some distance between us.
It's good.
That's my encouragement to y'all. So
It's good.
Hope there's a lot there. Good question, though.
Hope you wrote that down.
Hey, can we pause for a second?
Sure.
Hey, this section over here about midway back, for real, like I'm about to have an adult leader come and sit by you guys because there's a lot of talking. And it's becoming a distraction to me. And if it's distracting me up here, I'm confident it's distracting the people that are around you all as well. And so this is the last time I'm going to ask nicely, but please stop talking. Don't miss out on this because chances are y'all are probably the ones that have a bunch of drama going on in your friends group, and you save yourself a big headache by paying attention. So last time I'm going to ask nicely. Next time, we're going to go from there.
We love you. Okay. We do. Okay, going on to our second question. Here we go. It says, I don't have many friends, and the few people I actually feel comfortable with don't know Jesus. How can I I keep cutting out on that part. How can I influence them in a positive way and lead them to Jesus?
Influence is a hard word to say sometimes.
No, I was saying it. My microphone wasn't saying it.
I don't know.
Influence.
What
do you got?
We had a couple questions come in like this, didn't we? I think we had another one that came in that
Yes.
was talking about like being at like a party and there was like smoking and drinking going on and kind of like what's the best way to handle that situation again without causing a
Yeah.
big like type of commotion?
It's a good question.
Very good question.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just say this, that in your life, there's different people that you need. And I think it would help to identify the different people. And so for me in my life, there's the people that I allow to speak into my life. And that group of people is very small. There's only a select few people that I allow the privilege and the honor of speaking into my life and giving me correction and guidance and things like that. But then there's a lot of other people that we have a like peer-to-peer relationship where there's a lot like give and take, where I'm going to invest in them and then they invest back into me equally. But then outside of that, there's a whole nother group of people, and that's the people that I'm trying to lead and influence and win for Jesus. And so for whoever asked this question, I think that's the number one thing that I would encourage you first and foremost is to realize that, okay, what is your main objective when it comes to that group of friends? And if you're really wanting to win them to Jesus in that regard, well, one, it's like two questions. I think you're talking about being a positive just leader to those around you, but also then lead other people to Jesus. So I'm going to give you kind of like a two-part answer. But to understand this, that if there are people that you're trying to influence, this is so important. That doesn't mean that you just write them off, okay? Matter of fact, as you read through the book of Matthew, the book of Mark, the book of Luke, and John, you'll see that Jesus hung out with people that were quote-unquote sinners all the time. Now, he didn't allow those people to influence him, though. He influenced those people. And that's, I think, where I would encourage you to, as you're kind of identify those friends, say, okay, this is somebody that I'm not going to allow to influence me. And these are the people that I am going to allow to speak into my life, and they're going to be a very small, select few people. And so, again, lead yourself in this situation. You know, don't tell them, like, hey, you need Jesus, and then you're there, like, smoking with them and drinking with them and stuff like that, cussing and everything else, right? But, yeah, that's not good. Especially, well, it's breaking the law on top of all that. But, so lead yourself first and foremost. Set boundaries. Ask God for wisdom on how to set boundaries, so it's like, you know what? I'm not going to be at a party when that stuff comes up. And if it does and is brought out, then I've got a contingency plan where I can leave, where I can get away from it. And that's not to say, you know what, I don't love you, I don't want to be there for you. But in that moment, have those boundaries in place. Ask God to give you wisdom to know what to do and how to do that. And then, here's the next thing that I'll say. On those people like that are at parties and things like that, just leave in the moment. Don't try to have a conversation with them then and there. They're already under influences, so they're not thinking straight as it is. So just get away, wait for them to get a clear head, and then go back to them. And as we just saw in Matthew, privately say, hey, I want to talk to you about some things. And here's what I want to talk to you about. And then in that private moment, share your heart with them and tell them why you don't want to be around those types of things, those types of influences. Don't leave it up to them to hear why it is that you have maybe pulled away from them. You tell them, because here's what I've learned, is people will make up their own reasons, and that's how rumors and stuff get spread. Mm-hmm. So pull them aside privately, have that conversation with them, tell them your why, tell them what's going on, let them know that you still love them, that you're just got a different place in your life, that you'd still love to hang out with them and be friends with them. But if you're going to be friends with them and hang out with them, it's going to be under a certain set of guidelines, first and foremost. And then after that, if you really want to win them to Jesus and lead them to Jesus, invite them to come along with you as you do that. And then from there, walk it out. That's what we looked at last week with our purpose. And that's why we're here. You'll have to go back and watch last week's message on the power of purpose. But in Matthew chapter 5, we looked at some verses about that from the message. And, you know, we're not going to get into it. But just stating where you're at, letting them know you love them, that you're there for them, inviting them to come and be along with you as you walk this new life out. And then no matter what, just consistently loving them, reaching out to them still and inviting them. Say, hey, come on, let's hang out. Again, it'll be under these guidelines and stuff. And then as you're with them, look for opportunities to share your story about how God changed your life. So I think if we do that, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Long answer. Sorry, I should make them shorter.
Yeah, got multiple points, but they're good to write them down and go back and listen to. I'll add one thing onto that, and just that, like, God's love never fails. So when you just decide, these people, maybe they don't know God, they don't know Jesus, when you show God's love to them, when you're kind to them, when you show forgiveness to them, when you show grace to them, like that's not naturally happening around in your high school, right? Do you see a lot of kindness and forgiveness and honesty, right? And so when you show that, when you treat people that way, it goes a long way, because they're like, why are you treating me like this? Like, what's up with you? And you're showing them who God is. You're being a light about it.
I'm going to go quicker on these, so y'all better get ready to write quick.
Right fast. Or type. Okay, next question we got is, how do I lead after I've messed up? Good one.
Great question. It would be awesome if we were all just like perfect and never made mistakes, right? You're trying to lead people, but then you just mess up, right? So I gotta go quick. First off, first thing that I would encourage you to do is, when you have messed up, is whoever it was that you said you were gonna do something and you didn't do it for, start with an apology. Like, approach that person privately and say, hey, I need to talk to you. And then start off by apologizing to them. Letting them know that, hey, I'm sorry that this took place, and admitting it, and not allowing that shame and maybe the guilt to hold you back from acknowledging the mistake that you made. There's a couple of verses. I think we can put them up on the screen just real quick. But James chapter 5, verse 16 says, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. And so I believe that as you apologize and as you confess that to them, it opens up a door for that relationship to be healed. Another verse is in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 13. And it says, people who conceal their sins will not prosper. But if they confess and turn from them, they will receive mercy. So as you confess that sin against that person to them, it opens up the door for you to receive that mercy. But with that, again, you've got to apologize. Obviously, you have to turn away from it. And so I would always start there with an apology, and then tell that person what you learned about yourself in that moment. That, hey, I realized I had this. I realized I didn't follow through with this. I realized this. And then share with them what you're going to do to make sure that that never happens again. And just say, hey, so I'm sorry. I learned this about myself in this moment. I'm going to do this to make sure that this never happens again. Tell them how you're going to do that, how you're going to grow from that. And then obviously wrap it all up with acknowledging the fact that, look, I understand that this might have damaged the trust that you have in me. But, and I understand that it's going to take some time possibly to earn back that trust. And I'm willing to do what it takes to earn back that trust. And then from there, you have to walk it out. So
good.
That would be my advice on how you lead after you've messed up.
It's good. All right, we're going to go on to number 4. This one's about your family life.
These questions are tough.
You got some good ones. It says, my parents are doing things I don't agree with. How can I be a leader to them when I'm their kid?
Everybody's like, let me take my notes now, because my parents are like, not perfect. All right, nobody video record this, because I don't want to get a call from any of y'all's moms and dad and be like, well, they said you said this, and here's the video, all that kind of stuff. So
we're on right now.
I know, but still, I just don't want to,
Don't
Mom,
re-record
Dad,
the recording.
Yeah. So, okay, listen up. We're gonna. Okay. I'm gonna.
Ready?
I'm gonna be blunt, honestly. I'm always honest, but I'm gonna be very blunt with this one. Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 through 3. If we can put it up on the screen, I want everybody to see this. It says, children. How many of you in here are children? Okay. If you don't have your hand raised right now, you're obviously like,
You're all children.
you're failing like physical science, whatever it's called. Okay, put your hands down. Look at this verse. I want everybody to read this with me, okay? So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to start reading. I want everybody to read the entire verse with me out loud, okay? 1, 2, 3. Children, obey your parents because you belong to the Lord. For this is the right thing to do. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise. If you honor your father and mother, things will go well for you, and you will have long life on the earth.
Beautiful.
All right, how many of y'all are like, I stopped taking notes once you said obey. It was like, I'm done. No. So look up here at me. This is important. I understand, number one, I am a parent. I have a 5.5-year-old son. He's about to be 6 at the end of June. But in that lifespan, I am by no means a perfect parent. And my parents were by no means perfect. And I understand that some of you all have those moments with your parents where they're not perfect as well. And a couple of things that I want to point out to you. This says, children, obey your parents. So, doesn't matter what the situation is, whether they are right or whether they are wrong, your job is to obey them. And you're to obey them not because they're your parents, but because you belong to God. And then it goes on to say, for this is the right thing to do. As a matter of fact, Proverbs chapter 21, verse 3, you can write this verse down, but go look at it later. It says that the Lord is pleased when you do what is right. So if you want to please God, the God that you belong to, the way that you do that is by obeying your parents. No matter whether they're right or wrong. Does not matter. This verse even goes on to say, honor your mother and father. And that if you do honor them by being obedient to them, guess what? Things are going to go well for you. And you'll have a long life on the earth. So if you find yourself in a situation where things aren't going well with you at home, maybe you're grounded all the time, maybe you don't have a cell phone anymore, maybe your parents are constantly like on your back and everything, understand this, they're doing that because they love you, because they want what's best for you, but maybe you're not being obedient to the God that you belong to and bringing him joy and pleasure because you are not being obedient to them and honoring your parents. So, short answer, blunt answer, if you want to be obedient to your parents and honor them, be obedient to them. And let me say this, all eyes right here. Do it without complaining and arguing. Do it with a good attitude. Do it the first time that they ask you to do it, not the 27th time. And do it because you belong to him. Now, I know that's tough. I know it's challenging. That comes back to, again, what Katie preached, asking God for wisdom to help you to honor them in that moment. And here's what I believe will happen. As you lead yourself in that moment, as you show them that because you have a relationship with Jesus, that it has changed your life, as you walk that out, I believe your parents will realize that, and then they'll begin to say stuff to you like, man, you're just such a good kid. I don't know what happened. I don't know why, what's going on. And when that door opens, that's when you jump on them and say, you know why I'm doing this? It's because I have a relationship with Jesus. And that opens up the door for you to begin to plant seeds about God in their life and say, hey, I heard about Jesus at this amazing church called Cedar Point Church. They've got some services on Sundays that I would love for us to go to, Mom. I'd love for us to go to that, Dad. And I believe if we do that, God will not only change me, because he already has, but he'll change our entire family. Can we go? They got 3 services, 9:02, 10:32, and 12:02. We even got lunch for everybody after the 12:02. Yeah. You get free food. So, there's another incentive to ask them to come. But that's how it goes. So,
We got one more?
And I believe as we do that, things will go well for you and it'll go from there. How many more questions we got?